Three, will you? Yeah. Perfect. Good. I'm glad. Thanks for reminding us. So this is the second sort of step. We met with you all back in the spring, had a chance to see both the sites, create an assessment of what was needed. And as always in public school construction with facilities, there's always more need than there is funds. It's just the nature of it. So this fall, what we've been doing is, first of all, figuring out what our funds actually are and where they're going to come from. And then our goal here is to create a vision for what's going to happen at each site. So that vision will be the near term, which is what we have money in hand, as well as what we could do based on some potential funding sources. I think I might be losing my voice. I started going out last night. So bear with me here. And so as Paula said, we're going to talk about Copperopolis to begin with, and then we'll talk about Mark Twain at 2:15. So one of the things that we are really trying to drill down on is what are the goals, the achievable goals right now. And we have kind of four things that we have identified. We've got our just general maintenance. I don't know if this is gonna bold for me or not. We know, and we have seen, and I'm sure you're very much aware that there's a lot of deferred maintenance at Copperopolis. And honestly, it's not Copper personally or specifically. We work with school districts all over California, and this is what we see everywhere. For better or for worse, the state has taken the approach of not funding maintenance adequately and letting the facilities just kind of wear down. And I think a lot of people in the community don't really know that. You all know it because you're living it every day, but a lot of people, unless they're on site, they're dropping their kids off, they don't really realize what's happening with the facilities, with public facilities in general, and specifically school facilities. So general maintenance, we need to address. We need to provide transitional kindergartens. So the state has said, here's the program you need to do, but we don't have a facility that meets the requirements. So we need to provide transitional kindergarten classrooms. And then there's a pickup and drop off is something that's been identified as problematic, both in terms of wayfinding, where the front of the school is, how you get to places, and then just generally having a covered, safe, rainproof, snowproof, sunproof space for students to wait while they're getting picked up and dropped off. And of course, finally, as you know, we've got a lot of old portables and that we really want to address. So those are kind of our four main project goals right now. And then the funding is very complicated and would probably put us all to sleep if I really got into detail. But the summary is we have identified that at Copperopolis, we've got $1.3 million of state grant that's a for sure definite thing. So the school's eligible for it. Modernization grants, they can take 2 or 3 years to get the funds. The state's always a little bit behind, but this is definite money. That money has to be matched. So the district has about three and a bit of previous bond funds that we can leverage with the state money to basically get more than 2 million of for sure money to spend at Copperopolis right now. So that's going to be our first case, our base. We're also going to be submitting for TK, transitional kindergarten financing. The states come out, they said they really support it. This year, they didn't support it enough to actually finance most of the people who wanted it, but they're saying next year they're going to. So we're saying, okay, we're taking it into account in our thinking, but we're not counting on that fund, those funds right now. But we think that that's a very positive and likely source of funds for the school. Again, it's matching 1.5 from the state and $500,000 from the school district. And finally, of course, we are looking at a new bond, and that new bond would mean approximately $4.5 million for copper specifically. So that's the nitty gritty of it. Avery, if you wouldn't mind putting up copper, I'll stop sharing. So the way we have this structured is we're starting with what you have now, and then we're going to give you those 3 tiers. The modernization funds, which were for sure. What if we get those TK funds? And then what if we are able to get the bond funds? So right now, now this isn't exactly what's there. This is what's going to be there by hopefully by the end of December. We have those 3 pretty shade structures coming in, going over the 2 playgrounds and then the bleachers. Those are probably, the contract's been signed, they're making the posts, and right now we're looking at getting those installed over the break. So that's kind of a very first thing that's happening. And everything else is what you know about, right? So just orientation along the front bottom left corner here, that's our pickup and drop off loop. The cafeteria and gym is in front here, that's the big building. And then the office is in the middle there, and we have our numerous portables in the back. So let's go to our first case, if you wouldn't mind. So this is what we can do with the money that's for sure coming. And what that means in the state's vernacular, what it means is we have to decide what we're doing. We have to draw a set of plans, and then we have to submit it to the division of the state architect, who has to sign off on it. That's like your building department. We have to submit it to the Department of Education for their sign off. We may have to sign off with California Division of Mines and Geology, CDMG, and probably with the Office of Public School Construction, which is the funding arm for all this. So we've got all these different agencies that have to be part of it. The first step is getting the plans drawn, which is what we're hoping to get rolling on as soon as we've agreed on what the projects are. And then that would allow us to get in line for this modernization funding, this modernization grant. And so what we're proposing here is to relocate the office to a new building in the front of the site. And that new building would be the front, and the right side here is our new administration location. So now we've got a single point of access for the site near the pickup and drop off loop, where we've got a space shown there, but there would be, of course, a gate in that location. And we're basically, now we have a really formal kind of front door. It's very welcoming. People know where the office is. They know how to get into the campus. And then combined with that building, the sort of back side of that, or the entrance would be on the back side, is our transitional kindergarten classroom. So TK students and parents would come in and immediately turn left and go into the playground for the transitional kindergarten. And that is opening on the back side there into the playground area. So Right now, that space at the front of the school isn't that well used. We would maintain those parking spaces, just move them. Thank you, Abraham. I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. Move those parking spaces forward a little bit, so we wouldn't lose the parking, but it's kind of an unused space, and it really solves the issue of where is the office? How can the office effectively maintain good visual control of who's coming and going on the site? So this would be in conjunction with, what we're not showing is going through and fixing up the perimeter fencing, making sure that we don't have, sort of, I know you've got this series of kind of awkward gates. So we would be, assuming we move forward with this option, we would be really drilling down on making sure that that's all going to work in a practical way. So that's our first tier. And I'm going to stop for a moment and give people a chance to jump in. And a chance for me to have a sip of my seltzer water. All right, let's go to the next step. So if in fact we're able to get that TK grant paid, so one of the strategies here is that we need that TK room, whether we're getting the funds or not. So we have to build it. But once it's built, we can then get reimbursement from the state for it. And if we can get that TK grant, that's then giving us the funds to do the pickup and drop off covered walkway. So this is sun-proof, rain, snow, it's covering from the elements for students who are waiting to be picked up or dropped off, as well as we would have lights up in it. And so as we get into the winter months and it's darker in the afternoons and evenings, we've got a well-lit pickup and drop-off space. So that's kind of the second tier if we can get those TK grant. And then, of course, if we can get the bond passed, that really opens up the opportunities much more, obviously. Let's look at that one. Wouldn't mind, Avery? So our idea for if we are able to get the bond passed is now we're able to remove all those old portables in the back. We would be doing a 2-story modular, taking advantage of the slope on the site. So that 2-story modular, actually the upper story would be at grade on the high side up the hill. The lower story would be at grade on the bottom side. We would be incorporating restrooms into that building because we know restrooms are an issue, as well as that's now freeing up space in the back of the campus to do parking for staff. So trying to address parking needs, get rid of those old portables, restroom needs. Obviously, the office would be converted to classrooms. So our classroom count actually increases in this concept. And we're also kind of picturing that right now we've got a restroom building right there, kind of in the middle, the existing restroom building here. The new restrooms for students then would be in this building, but we're also envisioning increasing and the staff restrooms in what is now the office. There's already some there. So increasing that count, maybe having doors that go directly outside, so that have a sort of central core where all the restroom facilities are. So that in a nutshell is what we're thinking. But we, of course, would like to hear from you. Does it look good? Would you do something else? Change things, move things? Are there things that are concerning you that we're not addressing? So I'm going to open it up.
So one of the things that you guys might think about, those of you that are looking on, is we tried to really capture not actually making our footprint smaller, and yet increase the utilization for instructional spaces. And there were some really good ideas last night from the community as far as the covered walkway and perhaps some of the new roofing being solar. So those things are all in the conversation for sure. And also taking care of like the back where the portables currently are, right up against the chicken farm. And so trying to create buffers naturally. And then just to keep in mind, one of the things that was a big question was the two-story building is actually, as far as safety, as far as building, it's more durable and long-lasting than portables, and definitely it mirrors a stick-built building, but you don't have the disruption to your site for as long, because it comes, it's built somewhere else and then is come and put together. One thing that Alexis didn't say is we're really looking at, if the stars align and we can get through DSA, if some of the funding aligns, then we're really looking at 2024. So not so to the summer of 2024. So even though he talked about kind of the lengthy process, it's something that could be, brought to fruition in a shorter time than you might think. So, but again, those of you that are on, either raise your hand or jump on, and Sam will either let you know or put something in the chat if you have something that you're curious about before we move on to the Mark Twain campus.
Oh, and I keep forgetting, I was waiting for Sam to jump in, that of course we would be repainting the entire campus as part of whatever we're doing,
Blue and white.
as part of that sort of basic maintenance piece that we're trying to address.
Jess, you should be looking at what copper is going to look like.
So just so you know, Alexis, Sarah Tuthill, the principal, is here with me, and she's 100% all in.
Great. Sam, what were some of the things that folks were saying last night that you felt made sense?
Well, I don't really remember. I mean, I think overall for copper, not many people showed up, but they didn't really have much to say except for that they were excited about it. And like again was the concern of the two-story building. They wanted to know just the structure, how strong it is, how is it going to be reinforced? Will there be gates around it? I think that's pretty much it. And I think, oh, we're not on Mark Twain yet.
There is a question, and so Alexis said that the staff bathrooms there would be perhaps added staff bathrooms in the current building, but we had also talked about in the two-story building, and then of course in the front office, to answer the question as far as the staff bathrooms. But the ones in the two-story building would likely be single access and gender neutral, to answer Shannon's question in the chat about the bathroom. So what we were thinking is that we would be doubling both staff access and student access, but utilizing the current bathrooms that are there, not getting rid of those. So our goal is to make them, all the bathrooms, much more easily accessible to each of the areas. Does that answer your question, Shannon?
Great. Just to speak to the safety of the and just generally about modular construction. What we've seen with portables, the primary issue with portables is they are built to be as cheap as possible, right? And so they're using materials and they're doing things in a way that is not really maintainable, no matter how hard your maintenance staff helps. You know, how they can work as hard as they can, but the reality is you've got a flat metal roof and they leak. And you've got T111 siding, which is just plywood. And no matter how well you maintain that, it ultimately starts to deteriorate. So what we're trying to do with a modular approach is all the materials are exactly what you would do with a site-built building. So you're using hardy panel siding, which is cementitious, lasts forever. You're using stucco. The frames are all fully as strong as it would be for something that you were building on site. In fact, because they have to build them in a factory and ship them on the back of a truck, what we've seen is the deflection and the wind load that gets put on that building just on the truck to your site is probably more than it would ever see in the worst earthquake or the biggest hurricane. So they're very strong buildings. They're steel structure, which is probably the best in terms of response to seismic events. And the big advantage is you're not having your site disrupted for a year or a year and a half. So those buildings are constructed in pieces in a factory. They're shipping them to the site. They're bringing a crane in and literally stacking them into that building over the course of maybe a week. So all that can happen. They can get set over the summer, and we're not trying to do construction while we've got kids on campus.
One of the questions that came up from last night, Alexis, that you asked, is a parent asked about if the track was going to be resurfaced, and we talked about that it would be probably during the very first goal of just just upgrading or deferred maintenance on dealing with the field and some of the irrigation issues. But right now, at least in these current plans, the resurfacing of the copper track is not in the plan. So just wanted to let folks know about that. I'm gonna actually hop off, so Sam, tag you're it, because we're meeting with negotiations.
Very good. Thank you,
Thank
Paula.
you so much. And then
the thing about, like, if you go with a rubber surface on new rubber surface on that walking path track, it's $1 million deal. And so you got to look at it and say, if we've only got a couple million to spend, do we want to spend $1 million on track surface? We do know, and it was, commented multiple times, that the grass is lots of tripping hazards, gophers, holes, etc. Same goes for the sand for the baseball diamond. And certainly we would intend to go through, reseed, get a cover on that of new soil so that we can fill in those hollows and do the kind of maintenance, a larger maintenance project than just what maintenance staff can do, but do the maintenance needed to bring that back to a safe and usable situation.
Hey guys, Ken here. I've got a question.
Hey, Ken.
Hey, on our new building there, the 2-story building, did you guys put in a room, a spot for custodial, maybe has a mop sink and storage area for us?
We obviously we haven't designed it yet.
Okay.
But yes, we normally would, normally what we would do is we're putting in the series of bathrooms, And we would incorporate as part of that whole plumbing situation, a place for a mop sink, storage for paper towels. You know, well, yes, we'll give you some space, Ken, for sure.
Perfect. Oh, good. I don't want to be forgotten.
Yeah, no, we won't forget you.
And if we could get it, more locally, oriented, so you're not running all the way across campus to get something, that'd be great.
Right, absolutely.
And then also with the adding the office here, the staff room, then would that be in the new office area?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
we would be moving the office functions up front there. There'd be a new restroom up there. Little kitchenette, most likely. So that's all together.
All right, and then the level from like where the back portables are, you're going to turn that into parking. But then to get down to where, let's say, the original kindergarten room is and the office, that's still quite a bit of a change difference in heights. How is the ADA and the path going to work through there? We're going to have trouble with that, or?
Obviously it's a challenge. The whole site is challenging because of that.
Yeah, I know.
But yes, we would of course be providing accessible pathways from the upper parking lot down. However that, we haven't worked out that detail yet, but however that needed to happen. I see in the chat, are the push gates added in for safety? And yes, we would definitely have push gates where we have a situation where you need to basically we call it panic hardware, right? So you've got push gates that allow people to safely exit.
Okay, no, it looks great. It looks like it looks great.
I know we're pretty excited about it. It's going to really transform the look and feel of the site and address a lot of those real issues that are troubling us.
Yep.
Yes, the intention, again, this is just a very preliminary concept, so we haven't specifically designed what's inside the office, but normally, yes, we would combine the staff room with the in the office. But it's actually, as I say that, that's an open question, right? I mean, maybe it would make more sense to leave the staff room centrally located in the building where the office is in now, and just have the administrative functions, the folks who are greeting and observing people coming in and out in the front building. And that would be, if we ultimately move forward with this plan, that would be the kind of detail that we would be coming back to really develop. Let's see. Just a little bit about process. So this is one meeting of a handful of meetings. So we're meeting with the school board monthly. We're meeting with staff, administrative staff weekly. We're meeting with you all. We've got a couple meetings set up with you. We've got meetings with parents and community members. So we're trying to really cast a broad net here, get as much input as we can. But the ultimate goal is to develop the plan moving forward for each site, and then that would go to the school board in November or December for their final blessing, so that we could get after getting those plans put together. As Paula said, most likely summer of 24. The plans are 3 or 4 months. All of those various agencies are probably 6 months for approvals. Modulars, as I said, they're being manufactured off site, but that takes time, right? It still takes time to build a building. It takes months and months to build a building. It's just that that's happening somewhere else. So with having all that said, probably the summer of 24 is what we'd be targeting. I do want to just say that we're going to record the meeting. We're going to hopefully get it up on the website. So folks will have an opportunity who weren't here to see this. And please do reach out to Paula or Sam if you have questions that come up or things that you're thinking about after the meeting. Please let them know, because we're kind of halfway through this process. So there's still time to hear from you. I got a question in the chat. So if parents do end up parking in the lot that's directly behind the new office, how will they access the office? So I would say I can take a guess at that. We haven't developed this plan so that we're at that level of specificity, but in general, we would want to have folks ideally come around and come in the main entrance, so that we've got sort of a single point of entry that's being observed. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Avery. So they would park there and they would just come around the building and come inside. That kind of detail, though, that would be working out with you. Maybe you want to gate directly into that play area, because the TK teacher is going to be out there and they're going to be watching who's coming in and out. Shorter distance for parents, but then the office isn't having a chance to observe them. I'm not sure if folks are aware, but in addition to the shade structures that are happening over the winter break, we're also working with a local HVAC contractor to get the HVAC units, the ones that are on the ground in front of the multi-use room there, replaced, and that's should be happening pretty soon as well. Again, there's no real good way to graphically show maintenance. You can show a new building in a model and we can talk about it, but there's a whole underlying piece here of trying to take care of all those maintenance items that just haven't been able to be taken care of over the years. Kate, I see your comment in the chat, but I'm not sure I totally understand. So you're saying, I don't understand why we're having this on the front. It just doesn't flow very well at all. Do you want to the office on the front?
Hi, sorry, there's just a lot of us in this room.
Okay.
Turn off your phone, please. And we can't hear you very well at all.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try and talk louder.
No, it's our system that we have set up here is just, we're doing the best we can with no internet here. So we don't understand why the office is in the front. That is a pretty steep hill where the parking lot is currently. And for people to have to then like walk behind that and then up to the office that's kind of a weird thing to do. Why can't we just, I mean, one of our aides, she had proposed putting the office where the parking lot is, like up against that gate. And it's more centrally located to where the parking is, and it's in the middle of the school. I think having it the office so far away from the rest of our campus just seems really strange and isolated and hard to get to. Like if a sixth grader falls and has a bloody knee and he needs to go to the nurse's office, and yeah, we can patch him up with some Band-Aids, but then he has to hobble all the way down that hill, then down the other hill, and then down the other hill and stairs to get to this new office.
Got it. Well, it's an interesting perspective. It, you know, we know that having the office in the middle of the site is problematic for folks to find it. But you make a good point. It is centrally located.
Why would it be difficult for them to find it?
Well, my experience being, coming to the site is that if you don't know where the office is, it's really confusing how to find it. I mean,
So what if we
obviously,
had a sign? I mean, I've been to other schools that are off a main road and
Mhm.
you have to park in the back of it, and there's just a sign because that is where the parking lot is. They wouldn't really be parking in front of the new office where you have it currently proposed to be. They would still have to park behind it, which is where the current office is. So
right.
they would be parking right there anyways. And you could have some kind of larger sign so people actually knew where to go, which was what our librarian had been wanting. Was she wanted everything labeled very, very clearly for people, like library, office, things like that. We could make it decorative if we need to. I don't know.
Avery, would you, while we're talking, pick that up and put it basically in front of the existing office?
Yeah.
So the advantage of that location is it's more centrally located and it would be in front of the parking. The disadvantage is it's farther away from the formal pickup and drop off. And so if we're trying to kind of figure out how are we observing and monitoring who's coming in and out of the campus, where can we cite this so that the way it is now, if you're in the office, it's really hard to tell who's coming onto the campus. So
Well, then could we maybe have it so that there's two doors to get into both sides and put the TK or that playground behind it? Because I don't think that people realize that parking lot is on a hill. They have to walk down a hill to get in front of the office from where they park. So if you had maybe double doors, and if you're worried about drop off, I don't really know. Like if you kept it there, maybe they can access it from the parking lot and from drop off. I don't know.
yeah, I
Is
mean,
that-
let's
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just wondering, is that, did we choose to put the TK office right in front? Because of the requirements that we have to have for TK, with the drop off, the playground, all that stuff. Is that why we put it right there in the front?
Well, yeah, I mean, ideally the TK parents would be able to drop off and have a very short travel to wherever the TK is going to be. Right now, the parking lot's very close to where the kindergarten is, but then the only way to get through is you've got this sort of series of gates and things. So I'm kind of picturing maybe the idea that could the playground, Avery, go up the hill? Because I'm actually envisioning that being, put it up between the kindergarten and the existing office. You'll have to sort of squeeze it a little bit.
We
But
like that. Yes, right there.
Yeah. So then the office is more centrally located. You can still, let's see if I can get my annotation to work here.
It's more protected there. We like that it's further away from the road.
Right. And then we still could, I'm gonna wait for Avery to stop moving things around. If the folks in the office are on the street side and the TK is on the playground side here, then they can still overlook the entrance to school and have a good sense of who's coming and going. So I like it. Well, obviously we're gonna.
Can I make one more request?
Absolutely. And make as many.
I'm
as you
sure
want.
you're so excited. We would like that fence of the TK playground to be a solid fence, no gates, access from the parking lot.
Okay, so you would need to come through the office?
Yeah, that makes sense because they shouldn't be coming and going without going through the office. We
Right.
need to keep all those kids accounted for.
So let's see here.
Like an emergency exit gate, but not like a push gate. Like on a kinder yard, we have some emergency exit gates, but not like a usable gate out onto the parking lot.
Right, because you don't want
Yeah.
students to be able to just wander into the parking lot. Well, we're not going to be able to completely redesign it while we're here. And I see it's 2:15, so we've got to transition to Mark Twain. But that's great food for thought. And what we'll probably do is at our next meeting, really try and develop this idea as well, so that we can bring it to you and show you and get your feedback on that. Any other thoughts and ideas? I mean, this is the time for it. So please don't hold back. You're not hurting our feelings. It's hard to talk about this stuff in a vacuum. So if we can give you a concept, then you've got something to respond to, right? So that's the whole point of this, is putting it down, letting you see it, and then you can start responding to it. So that's what we're shooting for, those responses and alternative suggestions. Okay. Well, thank you all. Really appreciate your time. And we're going to transition now to Mark Twain. If you're wanting to get rid of the bell and the space behind the cafeteria, it could be more parking. Yep, absolutely. All right, I'm going to put I'm going to stop the share and put our agenda back up. Is it, so are we going to be getting different teachers coming in now, or is this all the same group? Should I not revisit sort of how all this is structured?
I thought this was all the same. Yeah, it's both schools.
Both
Okay.
schools have the same link. I know Mark Twain people will kind of be logging on here too. I'll send out another call if you give me like 2 minutes.
Okay, I'll take just a second then to kind of go through a little bit about process and where we are. We'll give them a couple minutes to come on. Sam, do you have visibility to folks as they come in?
I can see how many participants we have now. And then once they start going, I can start checking. Did you need me to take attendance?
No, not at all. I just wanted to, I want to wait a few minutes for people to come in so that they get a chance to hear kind of the first part.
And
But
I have a
also-
large number of my staff here already.
Okay, well, let's just get started then, and then
Thanks.
people come in.
That'd
as
be
they come.
great. Not want to waste
Um,
your time either.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I also appreciate that you have a very busy schedule, and I thank you for spending some time with us today. So this is kind of the second step. We had a whole assessment process that happened in the spring where we're looking at both school sites, identifying all the issues that needed to be dealt with. And as we're moving into the fall, what we're trying to do is basically we're creating a game plan for how are we moving forward? What are the things that we can do right now? What are our funding sources now and in the future? And we're just trying to match the funds we have, how long things take, with the goals for each site. So we just talked about Copperopolis. We're moving to Mark Twain now. This is one of a series, a handful of various meetings. As I said earlier, we're meeting
Hey,
weekly.
Cora, is Rudy in there with you? Okay, I'm just checking. Need to add
We're
him.
meeting weekly
Thanks.
with staff. We're meeting monthly with the school board. And we have a
Perfect,
couple
thanks.
meetings with
Bye.
teachers
Bye.
and a couple meetings with parents set up. So trying to get the word out, make sure that people have a chance to see the plan and to really comment on it. Because this is really mainly our goal is we're trying to get something down for you to look at so that you can respond and you can question and you can really try and understand what we're doing and help us to shape this vision. We have taken kind of a three-tiered approach to what we're doing at Mark Twain and Copper. We know for sure that we've got $2.35 million that we're eligible from the state, and that's a for sure deal. So we've got that money, that's matching dollars. We have to match that with about $1.5 million of the district funds, which we have. So for sure, we have that initial $3.94 million project that we can move forward with. We also have a good shot at receiving TK grant funding. That's $1.5 million. That one's not a for sure thing. So we've separated that out as we're hopeful. We think that we've got a good shot at it, but it's not a for sure thing. And also, of course, we've got the new bond in play that's going to be going in front of the voters here pretty soon. If that bond passes, that would mean about $4.5 million for the site, which would allow us to do significantly more. So what you're going to see is you're going to see kind of three tiers of potential projects, which match that funding stream. Avery, you want to give us the site? All right, so just starting with what you have. So this is aerial of the existing site. Gym in the bottom left-hand corner there. The main administration building's kind of in the middle. Let me get my annotation going here. Main administration building is here. And of course, we've got the cafeteria, and then working our way down the hill, we've got the science classrooms in this quad here, and then library and all of our portables out in the back. So that's our existing site. That's what we're working with. I will draw your attention to this gravel parking lot because it's going to feature in our first concept. So first thing that we need to do here is maintenance. We know we've got lots of deferred maintenance. We know that you've got cracked sidewalks, you've got tripping hazards, you've got buried pipes that are leaking. So we've got a big maintenance piece that we're tackling, trying to get caught up. What I see as an architect working with public schools all over Northern California is it's been decades, literally decades, since the state really properly funded, well, public education in general, but certainly public facility maintenance. And as a result, all of these school sites are in very poor condition from a maintenance standpoint because there just has not been the funds for it. You know it because you're living it. The community often, I find, they don't know it. Maybe they went to the school 30 years ago when things were a lot nicer, or they just don't have any reason to be on site. So a lot of times the community really just doesn't know how poor the condition is of our school facilities. So maintenance, big, very first piece. The second piece is we have to provide TK, transitional kindergarten, and we don't right now have any space on campus that meets the TK requirements. So our proposed first piece here is 2 transitional kindergarten classrooms. Avery, if you wouldn't mind. And one of the things that we heard from parents was they really didn't like the idea that the existing playground is right along Stanislaus Avenue. They didn't like just having a fence as the only separator between their little kids and the road. So our idea here is that we would be building our new transitional kindergarten classroom back away from the road. We're providing a paved parking area on the front here that is acting as that buffer zone between the street and the road. So this area here that you're seeing would be new paved parking for staff. And then our transitional kindergarten classrooms, 2 of them is placed back. We've got a new play area with, of course, shade as part of that project. And that, along with the maintenance, would be our first, for sure, things that we're doing, because it's based on that modernization grant and it's based on funds that the district has in their bank account right now. Obviously, we would be providing a very tall, solid fence between what we're doing here and the adjacent neighbor. So that's the first tier. Then second tier is if we are able to get that TK funding, that funding then allows us to do the next step here, which is to do a covered pickup and drop off at the front of the school. This not only gives us a sunproof, rainproof, snowproof area for students to gather and wait. There'd be lights under it for when it gets dark in the winter evenings. But we're also really trying to improve the curb appeal of the school, really make it more beautiful, make it a little easier to figure out where you're supposed to go, like where are you entering the school for new students, new parents. So this is our concept for that. And then finally, of course, the elephant in the room, we've got all these portables that need to be replaced or renovated. And so if in fact we're able to get the bond passed, that would be this third project. So the idea here is that we'd be removing all the old portables. Ava, will you click through the base case just real quick? And then zoom in on the portables over there. Thanks. So, you know, we've got all of these portables back here in very poor condition. So all these would get picked up and there's kind of two different potential approaches, which we have done. We've done both. One approach is to remove these and do new modulars. The second approach would be to pick these up, reconfigure them, and go through and fully renovate them. So both of those, the renovation approach is less expensive on a per classroom basis. And so you can do more, go farther with it. We're limited in the sense that we have a certain number of classrooms to work with. So it's a little bit more limiting there, whereas if we went with modulars, it's all new, we can do different sizes and things like that. So there's a couple of different approaches, but in either case, we would need those bond funds. You want to click into the finished vision bit. Thanks. So our idea here is that we would be providing 12 new, 11, is it 11 or 12? I think it's 11. 11 new classrooms, basically the same quantity that you had before. These would be either renovated or new modulars. And then we would be, we have heard so many people say that restrooms are an issue, and there just aren't enough of them. They're too far. And so we're including new restrooms at the end of this classroom wing. And our idea for that is something, obviously this would be something that the school district and the site, ultimately, this is your decision, but something that we've seen a lot and been doing a lot is moving away from the classic boys with 4 toilets, girls with 4 toilets all together in kind of a communal thing, and going to something like this where maybe we've got 8 individual restrooms that are gender neutral, multi-age. They're just going to work for everybody. And so you're getting away from some of the gender issues, as well as just kind of getting away from what I think of as sort of last century thinking about communal bathrooms to something that's a little more sort of individualized. Obviously, so don't get too hung up on where we put the shade structure. We know you need shade down there. We just put it in the middle of the courtyard just to sort of visually represent the fact that we need more shade. We've actually, if you pull back, Avery, I see a question, are the bathrooms for kids or staff? And the answer is it could be either or. So that would be really up to you. Usually what we'll do is maybe we've got 1 or 2 of them that are keyed, and that's staff, and then the others don't have keys, and that's for students. Let's see. Oh, so pulling back, the other thing that we just wanted to, I wanted to make note of was we put shade structures on the center playground there as well. Again, not necessarily, this isn't exactly what it would be. This is just to sort of metaphorically represent the fact that we know we need shade out on that playground. So that is the 3 concepts in a nutshell. And keys would be need, junior high kids will destroy them. Yeah, it's an interesting, I mean, I know junior high kids are wild animals sometimes, but I also, I believe, and I have seen that when you put a kid in a beat up old restroom that nobody's done anything to in 30 years, what is the message to them about what we think about them? And how are they going to feel about marking up on the walls? Versus you give them, Avery, would you put up the Mountain Vista restrooms, or maybe the
I as well last night, one of the parents who showed up, she called me today and had like her concern and her husband's concern. Enjoy the single bathrooms, and they think it's nice. However, their concerns was one, the older kids, they thought that they would have a play day or something in there because they'll lock themselves in there, vaping, smoking, whatever that they're doing. And then one would be, the other concern was for the younger kids who have behavioral problems. They thought they would lock themselves in there and just have no control.
Right. You know,
Um,
it's definitely an issue. What I can say is we've done these now at multiple school sites, and those concerns definitely came up
Mhm.
before we did it. That kids are going to go in and vape, they're going to be in there doing God knows what, and our experience has been that that's not what happens. That in fact, ironically, we'll do all these fancy classrooms and gymnasiums and all this stuff. And what we hear most is, God, the kids love it that the bathrooms are clean and nice and they can go to the bathroom and it feels good and it doesn't feel like they're in this old junky old bathroom. So that's just been our experience.
Right.
And this is a detail, you know, I'm like getting way off track here because this is way, you know, I'm focusing down way
Mhm.
more than we're supposed to be at 20,000 feet here. But just part of the conversation, right?
Mhm.
How do we create something that's going to be beautiful for everybody and that everyone can appreciate? Other comments, thoughts, suggestions,
I got a
objections?
thought.
Yeah,
When you guys redo all the portables, so we're not going to gain a classroom?
we honestly haven't worked out the classroom count,
Like,
Ken.
it seems for Mark Twain, it'd be nice to pick up another classroom because it seems like we could always use one.
Right, absolutely.
You've got the big area behind the library that you took those 3 out and nothing will be there. So it's like we could put another one there.
Sure. You know, the other thing that we also see is a lot of times, particularly as these portables get really junky, that you get 1 or 2 of them that you don't really use that much because it's just not good enough to, you know, so they end up being more sort of, the use isn't as good. I think once they're really nice, all of a sudden they're a lot more functional for people.
I think at least also in the short term, I doubt we have 2 TK classes filled, so we can move a kindergarten into one of those spaces, at least in the beginning,
Oh, that's
and
true.
gain a classroom, you know, for.
All right, but then also the kindergartners would use the TK playground too? Or do they got to go move up to the bigger playground now?
Oh, excuse me. Oh my goodness. Excuse me a second. Having a sneezing.
I think we could use either option, whatever is preferred by the school. I think we can also, you know, tweak the playgrounds as needed, look at different ones. I mean, just looking at this, I was thinking it might even make more sense to switch where we've shown this TK building and the playground so that the back of the building faces the neighbor's lot versus that playground. So there's definitely things like Alessa said, this is the zoomed out, just trying to get the very basic ideas down.
Okay, but just to make sure we had enough room for the kindergartners and the TKs on the playground. Seems like we lost the kindergarten playground with the parking and everything.
Right. Yeah, good point, Ken. Sorry, I'm like, I don't know if there's pollen in my office or something. I'm just having a sneezing attack, as one does in the middle of a presentation.
I did have another comment from this morning from another parent. They were happy with the copper 2-story portables, and they were wondering on Mark Twain's side, why couldn't we take those, I think is that 4 in the back, and make those the 2-story as well, so that we give the kids more space for playground and activities.
That certainly would be a possibility, Sam. The cost is more or less the same. I think we showed it the way we did because there seems like there is more space here at Mark Twain than
Right.
Copper. But Yeah, for sure. That would be one of the things that comes up is those two-story buildings, normally you have to put an elevator in them for
Mhm.
accessibility, which
Right.
is about $100,000 price tag.
And that's what I explained to her. I told her that I do believe the yearly maintenance is about $40,000. Is that correct?
Yeah,
To-
the maintenance is a killer. And so at Copper, because we've got all that slope,
Mhm.
we can design it in such a way that we have access without the elevator. At
Right.
Mark Twain down there, I don't think we have enough. I mean, there's slope in the site for sure, but I
Yeah,
don't
but
know if
not
down
like Copper.
there. Yeah, yeah.
I think
Um,
Janice said something.
There's something in the chat. Jana said, are the bathrooms in the new TK building accessible from the outside? Or are they enclosed in the classrooms? We haven't gotten to that level of detail yet. Normally, we would have them accessible from the inside for TK, just because obviously you want to be able to, you want the teacher to see who's going in and out of the restrooms. But we have not, this is much broader conversation than that kind of a specific thing. Let's see, what else did we want to make sure we hit all the high points here. I went through it once, but I'm not sure if this full group got the timeline. So just real quick. So we've got a series of meetings now. Our goal is to bring in November or December to bring finalized concepts to the school board for their approval so that we can get started, because the very first step here is we have to create a set of drawings for that first modernization grant. And we have to get it approved by the Division of State Architect, by CDE, by OPSC, maybe CDMG. So all those agencies have to do their thing. So we need a few months to do drawings. They're going to need 6 months or so to do review and approvals. It's impossible to get anything timely these days. So even once the contractor's on board, it takes months and months to get all this stuff together. So basically, right now we're targeting summer of 24 to be able to come in and get this work happening. And what that is really going to be a function of are we just doing this first modernization grant? Are we going to tap into that TK funds? And are we going to have luck with the school bond and have those funds available? So I've got something in the chat here. Is the track being addressed at all? No, not in any, well, yes, in the sense that we know that there's a lot of deferred maintenance. And so we definitely want to go through, repair the track as best we can, repair the field as best we can. That's a for sure. Right now, we're not intending on a brand new track and field, because that literally would take up almost all the money you have for the entire site. I mean, that's a multi-million-dollar deal. So you certainly could choose that, but with all the other issues, probably that wouldn't be the thing that went first. Tammy says it would be really nice to gain a classroom for the 4th, 5th, 6th grade band. Yeah, that'd be great. In fact, it'd be nice to give you an actual, band room rather than just a standard classroom.
I think there's also a new one from Molly above that.
Molly says, with the new portables, would there be new storage as well? The current storage situation seems to give the kids a spot to be out of sight. I assume that means that there's some sort of hidey hole areas where kids can sneak off and do stuff. And we would definitely want to make sure we're not creating places where kids could go and not be observable or under observation by a teacher. Molly, does that answer your question? Now, what is happening with my chat? I see that there's, oh, wait, here we go. Oh, the gray band, I see, for that age group, not a band, but that gray group, got it. Will the shipping containers stay? I don't know. We haven't really talked about shipping containers. On other sites, what we have found when we really got into it is that what was in the shipping containers, because everybody's got shipping containers. I mean, I can't think of a school site that doesn't have them. What we found is maybe not everything in the shipping containers is something that we want to keep forever. And that if you actually go look, it's maybe a bunch of old furniture or something. Obviously, we would want to, as giving you new classrooms, we're wanting to give you new furniture to go in the new classrooms. You want to put your junky old desks back in a brand new classroom. So maybe they would stay. Maybe we would have an opportunity to do some house cleaning and clear them out. The shipping containers is where people are hiding.
Gotcha.
Or behind the shipping containers, maybe. And the sheds.
I mean, maybe, I know we've discussed mostly at the other site, but this site as well, improving the fencing, and maybe if we do need to keep those units, we put up fence as part of the other fencing on campus to help stop kids from going behind it.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Ideally, they can be removed, but if not.
Are there things that you were hoping to see or you think we should be talking about that are not developed here?
Mhm.
The playground surface is really rough. Yes, absolutely. Hardscape in general is really challenging on the site. Has not, there's a lot of cracks and tripping places and just, so that's definitely part of our really initial big push of just, let's get some of this maintenance stuff caught up. The things that are, there's always this class of maintenance projects that are too big for everyday maintenance, but aren't necessarily multi-million-dollar projects. They're, that sort of intermediate stage where when we've got some money, we can take care of those things. Yeah, for instance, on the playground, we'd want to take a careful look at it and see, can we do an overlay and address most of those issues? Do we need to just literally dig it all up and repave? I know you've got utilities on site that are problematic, so we'd want to try and address those. Let's see, Sonia says, is there any plan to plant more trees or create like a quad or central outdoor lunch area? The junior high needs to get out of the cafeteria. Yeah. Nothing specific, but thank you for raising it as an issue, and maybe we'll try and incorporate something for our next presentation. I would love to get more trees out there. I would love to be providing some kind of a lunch area for folks, more green space in general. Thank you, Molly. Yeah, for sure. That would be great to incorporate. We got to work carefully with Ken so that we're not creating a big maintenance hassle for him. I've got a really good tree, Ken, that drops all kinds of stuff all over everywhere, but it's really pretty. You're gonna love it. Yeah. So yeah. Copper Scout, it seems like we're adding to blacktop with space in the back. So I think what that means is because we actually spent some time in the model doing this. We removed some portables, and then just because it was the easiest thing to do, we just basically copy pasted the picture of the asphalt. But it's not necessarily a design choice so much as we're not at that level of detail. But that would be a great location to do kind of a green space, maybe get some picnic benches in there, some trees and plants, maybe a shade structure. Maybe our shade structure goes over there, and now it's a more of a gathering lunch area for those students. Let's see. So Tammy says that what we've shown would be 6 restrooms, 4 for kids and 2 for staff. Would we keep the current junior high bathrooms as well? And do those bathrooms get built only if the bond passes? So the count you've got is right. Yes, we're showing 6. Doesn't mean it has to be 6. It could be, you know, we actually might be able to get 8 down there. Yes, we would keep the current junior high restrooms, hopefully clean them up, maybe new tile and new fixtures, and so that we have kind of an even level of really nice bathrooms everywhere. And how much of that we could do without the bond, I don't really know. We hopefully would get to do some of that. A restroom building like that is several $100,000. So that would be part of the getting into the real specific planning is, okay, what could we do with that $300,000? And is the restroom the more important thing? From your standpoint, what do you think? Is restrooms going to be really? I mean, I know it gets mentioned every time we ask. People are like, God, we need more restrooms. We need better restrooms.
Well, couldn't we just not redo all the fixtures, but at least redo all our dividers in the bathrooms? Because that's what makes them look so nasty for one, and just scrub everything else up.
Yeah, for sure. That
At least do that.
Yeah.
If we could at least do that, they would look 100% better.
Yeah, agreed. But it doesn't address what Sonia's mentioning here in the chat, which is there just aren't enough restrooms. And the restrooms are too far away, right? So you've got folks who are way down in the bottom here, and somehow they got to hustle up the hill and then get back to class. So just kind of thinking outside the box, like ideally, how many restrooms would there be? Let's just do staff. how many restrooms would there be and where would they be? If in a perfect world, if cost was no object and we're just thinking restrooms, like how many would you have and where would you put them? 20 is too much, I think, down at the bottom of the hill. But 3 is not enough. 4, 6. Would just having a couple down there be enough, you think, for the lower, in the lower section of the campus? Does everyone see the chat? I'm just watching the chat go here. I should be reading it. So it looks like maybe just one staff room for each wing, at least as kind of a base case, would really help things a lot. Maybe not, maybe not perfection, but certainly it would be a lot better than having to get up the hill. So yeah, we'll try and incorporate that. Looks like there's some consensus on that idea. So thank you, everybody. We've got just a few more minutes. Anything we haven't talked about? Really, please don't feel like you're stepping on our toes. We're not suggesting that this is the ultimate vision. This is really, it's hard to talk about this stuff in a vacuum. And so we find if we get something on paper or on the computer, I guess, in this case, then people can respond. So we're looking for that response. And even if that response is, I really don't like anything about this, what I'd rather see is this. It's all just right now, it's good feedback and helps us to ultimately get to a better project. Let's see. And then Tammy says 2 staff in each wing ideally. So, okay, we'll have that as our goal for sure. Well, folks, I know you've got a busy afternoon. Oh, would the whole campus be painted? I was waiting for Sam to jump in on that because she had to bring that up the other night. Yes, absolutely. As part of that initial big maintenance push, yes, we would want to get the whole campus repainted, looking as good as it could be, for sure. Any final thoughts here? I know it's been a long week and it's the end of a long week. And so I'm happy to wrap up if there aren't any other questions. Oh, here we go. Why are 17, 18, 19 greened out on your rendering? Are those being torn out? I assume that's where the green grass we just put in is 17, 18, and 19. In this concept, what we did was we moved those 3 buildings into the 2 wings. So we, yeah. Thank you, Avery.
By squeezing them together, they all fit there. You're not actually losing them though.
Right. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, please do keep this in your minds, and if you have more ideas, thoughts, feedback, please reach out to Sam or Paula. They're going to be collating stuff for us and getting any questions or things that didn't get raised to us. So it's just the beginning right now. And the more ideas, the more feedback we can get from you, the better. So looking forward to this. When is our next? I was just going to put this up. Avery, do you have the next meeting?
I believe it's Monday, the 7th for staff.
Is it? I thought it was maybe the prior Friday. Let's find that real quick and verify.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Parents is the 7th.
Yeah, so we're on the 4th.
Friday, the 4th. Yes. Same time.
All right, so Friday the 4th. For meeting 2. See you there, and we'll try and incorporate as many of these ideas as we can into the revised concept.
Great. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. Sam, I think it's, do you need to close it out, or do we close it out?
I can close it out and end the recording. I think the recording will go to Sam though.
Got
Or
it.
at least
Perfect.
your account.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.